So when you are chanting, and if you are not following the rules, then you are committing aparadha. Radha is the consort or the goal of approaching Krishna. Aradhana means using Radha, not using, but seeking Radha's blessings to worship Krishna. Aradhana. And then aparadha means, apa means its opposite meaning. So you are going away from Radharani, who is the source of devotion to Krishna. So Radha, aparadha, aradhana. Aradhana and aparadha are opposite of each other, almost opposite. So when you are chanting these, we should follow these rules. The first is to blaspheme the great devotees who have tried to spread the glories of the holy name throughout the world. So we have so many acharyas, we have temple leaders who are all working hard to propagate the holy name of the Lord. But if you say, oh, that fellow is an idiot, this fellow is not doing good job, or look, he didn't really open the temple in time, right? All these are considered aparadhas, offenses in English. So when you commit an offense, Krishna basically retreats. So when you chant, he's coming closer to you. He's revealing a little bit. You'll get a glimpse. Out of 24 hours, for 1 second, you may get a glimpse of him, and then he'll vanish again. Glimpse means not just visual. Suddenly you'll get a thought about Krishna. Suddenly you'll get a feeling about Krishna. But then when you commit offense, who attempts to spread the holy name is beloved of Krishna. So Krishna likes people who spread this chanting of the holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra. The second offense is to deny that Lord Vishnu is the absolute truth. So this is also stated as to treat the holy names of Lord Vishnu to be equal to or independent of the so to consider the names of demigods to be equivalent to or independent of name of Lord Vishnu. So demigods means devatas, Ganesha, Durga, to a certain extent Shiva. Shiva is in a special category, although or Vayu, Varuna, Kartikeya. You have so many demigods. So to consider them to be equal to Vishnu or independent of Vishnu, they are dependent. They are also Vishnu's servants. So who are demigods, who are devatas? They are slightly ahead of you and me. In the long journey to getting liberated, going back to the spiritual world, they're slightly ahead of us. So yes, we should always respect them. We should even respect an ant, but doesn't mean that you'll consider Ganesha to be equal to Vishnu or Krishna, or Durga to be equal to, or Saraswati to be equal to Lord Krishna, like that, right? So they have their respective positions and respective powers. So we should respect them for what they are, but they are not independent of Vishnu. They are also dependent. The third offense is to consider bona fide spiritual master to be a common man. So you cannot think of a spiritual master as a common man. Once you take Diksha from him, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastra means this individual is in a different category by himself. He is the Guru Tattva. Very difficult to understand Guru Tattva. I was actually trying to write a blog post on Guru Tattva, because what I do is I put some posts on my LinkedIn and people read them. So that is one more way of educating, because not everybody can come and sit like you for an hour in a class. They need something quick, drive through spiritual education. So they just look at the, one of the quotes, and then they will change a little bit, not to the extent that you will, but it will be a little bit. It will not be too much. Let me show you what I mean by drive through. It's like really quick posts about Krishna, or spiritual topics, not necessarily Krishna, because most people will not understand who Krishna is. So little by little, just like a sculptor chips off little by little rock, and then eventually after 2 months you'll see a beautiful sculpture. So when you started, it was like a big rock, but as the time passes, we will chip away that. So the fourth offense is to blaspheme Vedic literature and authorized scriptures like the Puranas, right? So you cannot blaspheme Vedic literature. What happens is when you blaspheme Vedic literature, you will commit an offense. Fifth offense is to consider glories to be attributed to holy names to be exaggerations. So what happens when people say, oh, when you chant Hare Krishna mantra, you're becoming dear to Krishna. Krishna is so great, like that. And you think, oh yeah, this fellow is, exaggerating. No. Or the other translation of this is glory, consider glories of the holy name to be a imagination, exaggeration or imagination. Sixth offense is concoct theories about the holy name, right? Again, a different translation of this is the sixth offense is to basically think that the holy name is mundane, like that. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activity on the strength of chanting of the holy name. So when we are chanting, and why I'm saying this is because Disha, you and Anisha will get into some serious chanting very soon. So I want you to be careful, because people think, oh yeah, we can, like one of the grossest ways, I will watch a movie, and to counter that sin of watching all the crazy people on the screen by some additional chanting, right? Because you may not murder somebody, but if you watch a Hindi movie, there'll be at least 20 people who will be murdered during the course of the movie. The villain will come and shoot, bang, bang, bang. Some 4 or 5 people will die. Then the hero will come and then beat up for 20 people. A lot of people will die. So although you are not a murderer, you are watching murder happening. So that's also a sinful activity. So you cannot say, oh yeah. Somebody will say, Hare Mataji or Prabhu, why are you doing this? Oh, it's okay, Prabhu. I will just chant one additional round. Right? To counter, because holy name is so powerful, I'll counter that sin by chanting more. So that's a mistake. So to think that all the religious rituals, again, this is a different translation. I'm used to a different translation. So to consider that all of the Vedic activities like Karma Kanda to be equal to chanting of the holy name. Ninth offense is to preach the glories of holy name to faithless person. So if somebody is faithless and you're trying to convince them, then you are actually committing an aparadh, because that fellow is not taking. So he's committing an aparadh, and indirectly you are committing an aparadh. 10th is most important, to maintain material attachment even after hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. We are all guilty of this. We are chanting Hare Krishna to go back to Godhead, but at the same time, some nice new car comes, we want to buy it. Something beautiful comes in the market, we want to buy it. So our material attachment is not going away. Or we are thinking, oh, I'll start a new business and make more money. That's also one form of material attachment. Of course, you need something to live, but then it should be for the needs, not for our greed. So needs means like basic needs. Nobody will say don't do it. I mean, you're supposed to grow your crops, grow grains, raise cows for milk. That is not considered greed. What is greed is, oh, I will, make this new drone technology and become a billionaire, or maybe 100 millionaire, something like that. That is considered greed, right? So why I'm saying that is because you chose to begin chanting in earnest. So it is very, very new thing. So this is one of the quotes from 69 Prabhupada. So this initiation means the preliminary chance for preparing oneself to achieve the highest perfection I'm very glad that you are interested in Krishna consciousness. So please chant at least 16 rounds. Right? So I know you're not chanting 16 rounds. You're trying to chant 2, 3, whatever, right? So increase it to 16 because that is the standard. And then 4 regulative principles: no eating meat, fish, or eggs, no illicit sexual connections, no intoxications, including cigarette, gutka. Of course, you are all nice people, so you don't smoke and all that. But there are people who do that. So for them, it is required to give it up. I know in our temple, one time one person came, he was chanting very nicely, but then after the chanting, he would go out and smoke. So our temple president told him, look, this is not good. You have to give up smoking. So that fellow didn't like it. So he stopped coming to temple. So who lost? He lost. The person who was smoking, because although he had the opportunity to take up something high, he didn't. He gave it up. And this is not a Western person. This is an Indian person, a Bengali, right? In the land where the Hare Krishna mantra came about, the fellow was insisting on smoking and gambling, right? So Prabhupada also mentioned in the same letter, blaspheming the Lord's devotee, considering the Lord's demigods and Lord at the same level. So Krishna is Devati Deva and demigods, devatas are just devas. So devas need to worship Devati Deva. So they are not on the same thing. So these are the same thing. This is a summary that Srila Prabhupada is giving of what we discussed. Neglecting or disobeying the orders of spiritual master. Spiritual master says, do X. You will go and say, oh, what does he know? He's from the olden generation. I will do Y. Whatever the case might be. Minimizing the authority of scriptures, interpreting the holy name of God in your own way. Oh, yeah. Giving some mundane meaning to the holy name. Right? Instructing the glories of Lord name to the unfaithful or people who don't follow. Comparing holy name with material piety. So basically, the holy name is not the same as material karma kanda activities. Inattention while chanting. So Srila Prabhupada initially wrote these very short sentences, and later on he elaborated what we follow as the 10 offenses. So like if you, anyway, I'll cover that later, but any questions on this one? So Kushbu Mataji, you want to give some elaboration? You are in the Holy Dham in Kolkata, Mayapur, so you will have more insight into this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. I was just hearing the 10 offenses, and like when we start chanting, we commit. I mean, before chanting, we commit all the 10 offenses, and for me, the most the most difficult was to understand that we have to be very careful that we don't chanting in the name of, sinning in the name of chanting. This is very common and very, and Christians also, because earlier I was more into Christianity. And the Christians do this. They commit something, and then Sunday they go to the church, and then they do the confession, and then again Monday they will again commit the same mistake. Prabhupada mentions about this also.
Right.
This is actually very grave, and this was something which I was contemplating upon, and I was just thinking that yes, it is very important that we stop. The anarthas will be there. And then again, I researched more. I saw that in Sri Ishopanishad, Prabhupada mentions that the holy name is the purifying. It's so pure that it will purify us. Like we chant for chanting. So gradually we will be purified, and then we don't need to adopt any other purificatory process. The chanting will itself purify us. So if we just take the shelter and be honest that I have this kind of anartha and I have to improve myself. And then while chanting, that I've seen this, my some of my anarthas, like they got little started going away. It's not like we will stop chanting because we have got this kind of anartha, but we should chant and we should earnestly pray and look like I am not doing it in the name of chanting. This is something which, I mean, I personally struggled with this, because we have so many anarthas, and then we have to chant every day, and then we end up doing this. Either we have two options: either we end up not chanting because I cannot stop that anartha, or we end up, okay, I will chant, and again we continue with that anartha. But we have to, the mood of chanting, it's very important. That is why we have to chant, because we have to say that I'm helpless, and that helpless chanting really improves our chanting. Here in the spiritual world, the more helpless we are, the more advanced we become, and in the material world it's the opposite. The more helpless we are, the more people will kick us away. I mean, we will get more failures. But it's not like that. And then again, the 10 offenses, the last one is always there. I was just thinking about that point, that there are three kinds of bhakti. One is sadhana bhakti, then there is bhav bhakti, and then there is prema bhakti. So the sadhana bhakti is what we are going through, and then that is, we have attachments to the material things, though it has minimized, and it can be regulated also if we follow our guru and the scriptures. But it will continue unless we rise to uh, bhav bhakti, and that is only by serving Hari Guru and Vaishnavas, by following them. And then ultimately we get the prema bhakti, which is the highest stage. And the chanting is also classified into three kinds. That is offensive chanting, offensive chanting. The first one is, which is called when we are unaware. Then comes awareness, when we become aware. And then the third one is offenseless chanting. And I have heard this in a lecture also, that with offensive chanting we get material things. With the awareness stage, which is the second stage, we get liberation. And with the offenseless one, we get love of Godhead. So we know the whole process, and we have got into this. The only thing is, if we just go on chanting, then it will really help us. And because the chanting is like, many people stop chanting because they couldn't succeed. And then I mean, I tell them, like, I have heard this in lectures also, that okay, you have stopped chanting, now tell me, have you won over that particular, I mean, does that help you? Your chanting, your stopping of chanting, that doesn't help you, then why are you stopping it? Then you can continue chanting. That is where the mood is. I mean, the mood is very important. And the 10 offenses we should read every day to just remind us. It should be imprinted on our minds and our hearts, that I have to, we have to learn this, we have to remember this. Then also chanting can be improved. Because chanting is the basis. I mean, I went through a lot of articles, a lot of time, I mean, past times of Prabhupada, where I was just wondering what Prabhupada says. I mean, what is most important? I was just wondering. Prabhupada actually has given us the order. The first and first, the priority should be the health. Because if we are not healthy, then we won't be able to chant also. Then comes chanting. Then after chanting, it's reading, because, and then after reading is service. So Prabhupada mentions this, and even the three golden principles, like of ISKCON, like Prabhupada says, purity is the first, books are the basis, preaching is the essence. So purity means our sadhana, then books are the basis, then we read, then preaching is the essence, the service. So the order is there. So if we just follow Prabhupada's books, if we just read carefully, then we can gradually, minimize our offenses. Because as long as we commit offenses purposely, we won't feel that we are progressing. Like in our last class, you told us that the reason why people don't get benefit, even if they have association of pure devotees, is because they commit aparadh. That is why aparadh is something which we should be very vigilant. I mean, as devotees or aspiring devotees, or as sadhakas, the aparadhas should be our, like it said, we are working on a on the edge of a sword. We have to look that we don't commit these mistakes. If we don't know them, then how can we rectify them? So these aparads, the 10 offenses are, it should be the national, I mean, like the national anthem we read, we sing it like with so much dedication for a country. This should be our devotional anthem, kind of, the 10 principles, the 10 offenses against the holy name, because the holy name is the Yuga Dharma, and the 10 offenses will keep us on track. So this should be actually the anthem which we should sing every day with complete dedication and love. So I just remembered these points, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Excellent, excellent points. Yeah, one thing that you mentioned is very good, like the awareness stage, we are committing some offenses. Then the liberation stage, which is like, I thought you mentioned, is that the namabas that you were mentioning?
Yes, Prabhu.
Nama.
Namabhas, Shuddh Nam, then there is, what is that? So Namabhas is when we are aware. Then the Shuddh Nam is the purified stage. And then there is Namaprad. Sorry, Namaprad, Namabhas, and Shuddh Nam. That was I was mentioning. Yes, Prabhu.
Got it. Very, very, very nice points. Yeah. That is, so Disha, do you have any questions on that 3 stages? Like when initially we chant, we commit offenses. So it is nama aparad. And then nama bas means you'll get a shadow, a shade of that, or an inclination of the potency of the Lord's holy name. And then Shuddhanam, you have given up all of your bad activities. You are just fully dedicated to serving the Lord. Then Shuddhanam manifests. So it's not, you cannot force it. Yeah, like, like during the early 70s, there were some hippies who became devotees. And what they would say, oh, we are not getting love of God, so we should take a little bit of LSD, drugs. And they would say that. And then they would say, Hare Krishna, like, some kind of delusional singing of the Hare Krishna mantra. And they would think, yes, we achieved love of God. No, love of God is when all of the bad habits have gone away, right? So that there is another science, anartha nivriti. First, you do sadhu sangha. So right now, some of us are in sadhu sangha stage. Then we have started doing bhajana kriya by reading Bhagavad Gita, by doing some chanting, by going to temple for arti. Then comes anartha nivriti. And most people get stuck in this stage 3. All right. When you get stuck in this stage 3, then it is difficult to progress. Most people will get stuck there because of the anarthas that we have accumulated for millions of lifetimes. We get stuck. And then then comes asakti, bhava, and so on, prema. And then there are 6 levels of prema. So those are all advanced. I don't even want to touch upon them because we are struggling between sadhu sangha and bhajana kriya. Unless we get rid of all these anarthas, these bad qualities in us, and you cannot say I'm not bad, because what if you are exteriorly, externally good, but internally you still have those thoughts, right? And all the millions of lifetimes that we have crossed, unless we cross over them, unless we conquer those bad things from those millions of lifetimes, you cannot really come out of an earth nivritti stage. So that's where some people will stay 20 years, some people will stay 30 years, some people will stay all life, and next life they continue. But the good news is, as Krishna promises, even if you do a little bit, swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Mahabhaya is to become an animal. So swalpamapyasya dharmasya, even if you do swalpa means a little bit, then you get a human body so that you can continue your journey in the next lifetime. So Krishna gives you that guarantee. So why worry? We'll do whatever we can and a little bit more. You cannot stop at your comfort level. We have to get out of the comfort zone and try to do something big for Krishna, right? So you have to attempt something which is huge for Krishna. And then you will not succeed, you'll fail. But at least you are trying to get out of your comfort zone and um, exercising your free will in the direction of Krishna. So yeah, it's very difficult. Most of the people like say, oh yeah, I'm reaching Bhava stage because I'm very emotional about Krishna. That external emotion is not sufficient. Some people will come to temple and they'll start crying. And then, you know, like Prabhupada was telling this thing, or somebody was saying like, oh, crying, crying. And then later on they found out that he was cutting onions at his home. So he's crying because onions emit those chemicals that, and then some other person Prabhupada mentioned, he was always saying Radhe, Radhe. And people thought he's such a pure devotee. Turns out his wife's name is Radha. So he was always calling out his wife's name, not really Radharani. So yeah, you cannot fake it. First of all, you yourself will not be convinced that you are a pure devotee. And nobody else around you will be convinced. Of course, Krishna will never be convinced because he knows what you are. He's there sitting in your heart, right? So we need to get out. We are all stuck in this bhajana kriya, anartha nivriti stage. We have to get out to get some ruchi, taste. Then we get some asakti, deep taste. And then we get bhava. Of course, I'm not in bhava, so I don't even know how it feels like. I'm stuck in anartha nivriti myself. So we have to get out of these anarthas, get to that ruchi taste, the taste. When the taste comes right, you have a chance of going to a skiing party in the nearby mountains versus coming to a temple and washing dishes. You'll say, yeah, what is there in skiing? Let me go to temple and wash some dishes. So the taste should come. Or there is a 3-hour Srimad Bhagavatam class. I know if I sit in the class, my back will hurt, but I'll still sit. I want to listen to this lecture. This is a beautiful lecture. So as you all can imagine, none of us have that deep quality, right? We all know it. Nobody has to come and tell us. We don't have it. When something higher priority item comes, we drop our devotional activity and go in that direction. So you know the gold standard. Now you have to see where I am versus that standard and slowly approach it, right? Like the gopis, the highest stage they are in. They are in that madhurya bhav, and they are in that pure devotion, even beyond pure devotion for Krishna. So they would hear the flute of Krishna, they would just give up washing their son's body, giving him a bath. The milk is boiling on the stove, they'll just forget about that. Their father-in-law wants something, they'll forget about the father-in-law. Husband wants something, they'll forget about his husband. They'll run in the direction of the flute's music. We are not there. We cannot even begin to imagine, right? One higher priority item comes, people will stop coming to Bhagavad Gita class. We all see this. I mean, at one point I had 12 students. Where are all the 12 students? Gone with the wind. 1960s movie. They're all gone with the wind, right? So the wind dragged them away in a direction. So we should know why all this instruction, right? Why so much emphasis on all these things? Because it will happen to each one of us. You will be pulled away in a direction and you'll stop thinking of Krishna. Something else more important will come. So it's better that we know that we'll be dragged away so that we apply effort not to be dragged away. Right? So that's what it is. It is very, very simple process. The process is super simple. Chant, eat prasadam, dance in front of Krishna. There's a difference between dancing in a bar and dancing in front of Krishna. One will liberate you, the other will bind you with more karma. Right? So the process is simple. But then if you don't know the scientific basis, right, just like Kushbu Mataji said, first health, then chanting, then reading, then service. Sometimes people get so engrossed in service, you ask them, Prabhu, how are you chanting? No time for chanting, Prabhu. Too busy with service. And after 4 or 5 years, you will not even see them in the temple doing service. Why? What happened? Because they're not getting the taste. They're not balancing the chanting, reading, and service. They'll give it up. then what's the point? So they lost, right? And they lost in the battle. So better, have a strategy, work systematically. That's why Prabhupada wrote all these books about how many pages? At least 20, 30,000 pages across all of his books. Why did he write so much? Because we'll get carried away. So he will come pull us back in. No, 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 no. You should not do this. You should not do this. Prabhupada talks more about not to do than do. And some people will say, oh, no, no, he should have focused more on what? Leela. He rarely focused on Leela. Most of the time, he focused on Tattva. Leela means pastimes of the Lord. Tattva means philosophical basis, instructions. Because we are all donkeys. If we are not given those instructions again and again, we will go back to our donkey way or monkey way. Right? You cannot train a monkey. Once it sees some nice fruit, it will jump off your shoulder and go to steal that fruit. So that's what it is. Questions, thoughts?
Prabhu,
Yes.
For first time chanting, like I would be doing it, or Anish will be doing it, Girish should be doing it. Following these 10 rules makes sense. Yes, agree. Is there anything else? Definitely don't want to do something wrong and regret later. So
yeah, for beginning devotees, if you
okay.
do this, that in itself is an achievement.
Okay.
Right? I'm sure you are not eating meat, are you?
We are, Prabhu.
Then you should stop. If you eat meat, then it
Yes,
is very
Prabhu.
bad for your spiritual life. You will not make progress, guaranteed.
Yeah.
You are having coffee and tea, give it up. I know you're not smoking, so that's not a problem for you. I don't think you're going to casino and gambling or playing cards. Right?
No.
Are you drinking?
They are, yes, occasionally, but then yes, I know that we have to stop that also.
Yeah, so you should give it up. So if you do these 4 things, you will never make progress. And if you stop doing these 4 things, you'll make a rapid progress. Meat in the body will not allow you to move towards Krishna. It's not possible, impossible.
Prabhu.
Yeah, if you do this, then it is very difficult. And by extension, if you eat in restaurants outside, you will get the cook's consciousness. So
yes, I remember you had explained it one time.
The cook is thinking of something else instead of thinking of Krishna. Now you will start thinking of what the cook is thinking. So, first order of business, you should give up eating meat, fish, or eggs. And then gradually you can stop eating in restaurants outside, because if you eat, then there is no guarantee that you will ever go back. Impossible. So, see the order in which Prabhupada says in his letter. First these things. Otherwise, you're already committing these offenses. Indirectly or directly, you're committing these offenses anyways. If you're minimizing what you're doing is you're minimizing the authority of scriptures by eating meat. Meat is only given Kshatriyas during battle because they are willing to shed blood on the battlefield. So for them, you're not a Kshatriya, you're regular employee of a company or a businesswoman, right? So for you, meat is not allowed.
Correct.
Sometimes Christians say, oh, Jesus ate meat. No, he didn't eat meat actually. Jesus was a vegetarian. He sometimes took fish, but he was never eating meat. Even in Christianity, they got it all topsy-turvy. Jesus went to the temple on the mount and all these people were selling chicken outside. right? So he stopped their business. All the Jews were selling chicken in the temple, literally outside on the walls of the temple. So Jesus started a vegetarian religion, and because the Jews didn't like him, they crucified him. Right? Buddha didn't permit eating meat. Ahimso parama dharmaha. So any devotional person will never allow eating meat.
True.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. So
Yes, Prabhu.
if you follow these before you embark on your journey of chanting, of course you can chant to get strength to stop these activities, right? To stop these activities, you need to start chanting, and then gradually these things will stop. Like many devotees come to a temple, and how do they give up eating meat? Because they come to temple and have regular prasadam. So prasadam is mercy of Lord that will substitute for meat, right? Or you can make Manchurian without onion and garlic. Manchurian, they are just like meatballs. So you will lose interest in that. Why do you think we make Manchurian at festivals? Because you are eating meat, at least they will get a substitute.
Yeah.
Right? And in initial days, you can take Beyond Burger, Impossible Meat. These are all protein, vegetable-based burgers.
Yes.
So I can guarantee you, if you start chanting in 6 months, you'll be averse to eating meat. You just get up from the chair, throw that in trash. It'll happen.
Okay, Prabhu. Done.
And then you'll notice the difference. I mean, yeah. So you have to stop, and you have to make nice vegetable dishes for your kids so that they are not attracted to eating that.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So Gopal, if I'm not mistaken, you came from a meat eating family, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And were you able to give up eating meat?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Through constantly hearing and coming to temple, slowly I gave up.
Simple.
And from the preaching.
And from the what?
From the preachings of temple Maharajas and all those.
Yes. So when you hear, there'll be a transformation in the heart. There should be. Because everything that we know is by hearing only. Somebody will say, oh, we are doing a barbecue. You're hearing the word barbecue, and then you are going to their party and eating meat. And then somebody says, oh, meat eating will cause misery. You'll be born again and again. Like Manu Samhita says that anybody who eats cow, anybody who sells the cow, anybody who kills the cow, anybody who transports the cow, and anybody who eats will all get 1/6 of the karma, and they'll be born as many times as there are hairs on the body of the cow. Right? So you'll be born that many times if you eat meat. And also you have to be careful, even if they put gelatin in some of the syrups in America, or they use gelatin in jello and use that for pudding, then you are indirectly eating cow. And then you will take as many births as the hairs on the body of the cow. Forget Krishna. Not that you will really forget Krishna, but because you will never go to him if you have gelatin in your body, or if you have monodiglycerides. These are made from animal bones in America, mono and diglycerides. If my kids see mono and diglycerides on the packed food, they'll immediately throw it in the trash. Right? And in cheese they use rennet, which comes from the intestines of a calf. So that is eating cow, and then you'll be born millions of lifetimes. So all these things, when we didn't know all this, right? Slowly people taught us in the temple, and that's how we know. And now I'm teaching it to you. So it's a long journey, but it doesn't need to be long. You can Somebody once, one Prabhupada disciple went and said 108 steps to go back to Godhead. Prabhupada said, no, you don't need 108. You just need one. Surrender immediately to God. That's it. So you can take the slow route or the fast route. Choice is yours. So Sheshdev, you want to share anything on this topic?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think I was relating to what you were telling to the Bajaj family. I think for us, I mean, as soon as I stopped eating meat, my chanting, at least the quantity of chanting increased drastically. So that is one point that I could relate to. I mean, I come from a family that used to eat everything. So that I think, yeah, listening to lectures and service in the temple, I think, and or eating prasadam, probably, I think higher taste, right? So I think getting
Yeah,
more
higher
taste of
taste.
prasadam.
You have heard this
Yeah.
book called Higher Taste, Mataji? This is a $2 book in our temple.
Yes,
No, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu. Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Yes.
I just want to add something regarding meat. Actually, meat is something the WHO research they have done. It actually has carcinogenic effect, means it can cause cancer also. So there is a research, you can Google it and see. By
Yeah,
the
it is
WHO
not
in
can.
2015.
Yeah, it is not can. It will cause cancer. Why do you think?
And how is, yeah, it is the 2015 article, WHO. We can see, Google and see. Meat is very detrimental to every, I mean, our cells in the body and everything. It is very, I mean, I also used to in my childhood, like when I was very small, but I saw that meat eating and all these causes a lot of, I mean, we get angry very easily. We get these kind of, I mean, we get somebody can very easily provoke us. These things, the control power has, I mean, goes down to a large extent. I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that.
Excellent
Okay,
point.
very good.
Excellent point. So Disha Mataji, you could do two things. Buy this book called The Higher Taste, about 60 dishes. There are even more advanced books, but you can start with this. And in YouTube, there is a video. And if you see that video, just like Kushbu Mataji is saying, carcinogens, right? It's called Meet Your Meat. It will show you how your meat is made. And then you will never ever eat it again. Meet your meat. How horrible it is. All the bad things left over, ears and feet and everything will be ground finely and they make hot dogs. So if you eat a hot dog in America, you become a dog in your next life. That's what it is, right? So meet your meat. If you see this, you will never again touch it. And what they do, they mix a lot of things in the meat, some chemicals, so that it doesn't decay. And then now you're eating more chemicals than possibly you'll ingest in your entire lifetime in one meal of eating meat. Yeah? So many things, hormones. They inject hormones. So what happens is kids will attain puberty at an early age. In India, puberty is around 13 years. In America, it is 9 years. Girls get puberty. Why? So much of these hormones that are injected into animal meat that now you are ingesting in your body. So women become, not pregnant, sorry. The puberty comes in earlier. So many problems. Like if you see Africans, like the people in Africa are usually 5 feet tall, 5.5 feet tall, like that, right? Once the second and third generation Africans in America are extremely tall because all these growth hormones are messing up. So their body is no longer African body. It's something else. It's like an animal, basically. Because they are one of the highest consumers of meat in America. So, I mean, you have to learn all these things. There's so much information on the internet. Don't put anything in your mouth unless you research on internet what on earth it is doing to your body. So yeah, following these principles, if you chant, you'll get the strength to follow these principles. So that's why if I, sometimes I post these articles on YouTube, on my lectures or in my LinkedIn, people read it, they hit the like button, but they don't understand it because it's just like playing drums. You can read a 300-page book on playing drums, but unless you take the first tabla or mridanga and start playing, you don't know what it sounds like. Same thing. You should start with variety of vegetarian interesting dishes. And then you'll say, oh, I was eating that garbage. You'll come to that conclusion. So do it, you will get the result. For example, when we kill an animal, the mother of that calf is feeling very, a great sorrow, right? So we are giving the mother a great sorrow by killing its children. How would we feel if our children are killed, right? Think about it. So that is just a little bit thought. I know we are coming to end of our class, but you do it, you will come and thank Sheshadev and Kushbu and Gopal later on for sharing their realizations, because they all came from meat eating families and they did a 180-degree turn and they're all becoming saints right now.
Yes, Prabhu, lot to learn. And
No, so initially you may
I have
find it difficult
guidance.
because to find substitutes is very difficult. But there are so many companies. There is an Israeli company. It even gave its recipe out, right? So in that recipe, they said they use peas, chickpeas, and batani, and Kabuli chana, and they put beetroot juice so that gives the red color. Because for Westerners, unless it is red, it doesn't look like meat. So they created a meat ingredient, and now that in the test, blind test, right? They gave meat and they gave this. 96% of the people could not distinguish. 4% were very chalu, smart, so they found out. But 96% could not make the difference between these two. So you take tofu, you take soya vadi, you take peas, watana, and then you take kabuli chana, and you take chana dal. And then you nicely cook everything, grind it finely, make into patties. That will be better than meat.
Wow. Protein pack, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, in your own interest, if you don't do that, then rest of these things, whether you follow the 10 offenses or not, or you chant, hardly matters. Believe it or not, hardly matters.
Yeah.
So first things first, as they say.
Prabhu, how do I go about chanting when I know I'm committing these offenses? Wouldn't it be like,
No,
committing the offense?
no. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. That's why I make you chant. Yeah, so when you're chanting, before chanting, we take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Oh, yes,
He's
the
merciful.
mantra, yeah.
Yeah, the Panchatattva mantra. So he's very merciful. He says, okay, this soul is trying, so let me give them a chance. But after 20 years, if you are still doing the offense, then it will come and hit you like a sledgehammer. You know what a sledgehammer is?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's a sledgehammer. So you cannot commit offenses knowing them, but initially he is a little merciful. So you say, okay, I need your strength, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to stop doing these offenses. And then slowly you'll get it. You have just heard 3 case studies from 3 different individuals, right? They were able to do it, so why can't you do it? It's not like they are some great acharyas or anything like that. We are all ordinary people, right? That's why we are here in the material world, because we are kicked out from the spiritual world for making mistakes. But we can go back. we can go back because Krishna is merciful. Especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is merciful. Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender or get out. That is Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I know Baba, you cannot surrender. So I'll give you some chances. Not infinite number of chances, but decent number of chances. So you follow, and then gradually you will tell other people don't eat meat. I can guarantee you that, because meat eating is the most horrible thing you can do to your body, right? The animal consciousness sets in you. You are trying to become a devata and worship the supreme deva, devati deva, Krishna. And on the other hand, by eating meat, you are becoming more and more like an animal, because animal consciousness sets in. There is a saying in English, you are what you eat. So you can't stop it. Why do people behave like this? People say, like, you ask anybody in the jail, why did you commit that offense? Why did you kill this person? They say, I don't know what happened. I got carried away. Usually 99% of the stories are like that. I don't know what happened. I got carried away. I wish I did not do that. Why? Because of meat eating, that consciousness is there in the animals, sorry, in the meat eater. The animal consciousness is there in the meat eater. So that sometimes it bubbles and bursts. So we have to be super careful. Okay, that's the class for today. That's a very big class, by the way. That's almost like the entire Prabhupada's 2-phase process. Stop doing these things and stop doing these offenses. You will uncontrollably go back to Godhead. You get the point? If you do these things highlighted, nobody can stop you from going back to Godhead. Like one of my god brother, he distributes books in Atlanta. 6 African American Matajis. They read the books. I mean, he distributes thousands. Out of them, the 6 African American black Matajis read the books. They started wearing saris, coming to Mangalarti, giving up eating meat. For an African American to give up eating meat is like committing suicide. Every day they do barbecue. But they're doing it. When they can do it, why can't you? You are born in the Pavitra land of Bharat. Right? And especially you
Yes,
are in the Sindh region ruled by Maharaj Purushottam. Remember when Alexander attacked? Go to YouTube and watch this movie. Alexander and Purushottam, that movie is there, right? The song goes like this. Yahan dali dali par sone chandi ki chidiya kare basera, o Bharat desh hai mera. Right? So that is where you are born. You are destined for higher things, not this silly little eating chicken and burger and all this nonsense. Okay, we'll all meet next week. Chant and be happy.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.